It is the final weekend of March Madness, and for more on this, I'm joined by TSN's Claire Hanna in Phoenix. Claire, thanks so much for joining us. So, exciting day. What should we be watching for during the men's Final Four today?
Well, I don't think it's what we should be watching for, it's who we should be watching for, because Toronto's very own Zach Edey is the star of Purdue. They're taking on NC State in the first matchup. The second matchup is UConn versus Alabama, but let's go back to Purdue and the Boilermakers, because Zach Edey became the first player since 1983 to win back-to-back AP College Basketball Player of the Year awards yesterday. It's an amazing feat, and he has really been the star of this team all year. In the Elite Eight in Detroit, they took on the Tennessee Volunteers. He put up 40 points. That was a career high. He really, I don't want to say single-handedly got them to this Final Four because it is a team effort, but he had just an amazing game on the biggest stage. And it's the first time the Purdue Boilermakers have made the Final Four since 1980. And in the last 44 years, they have won 11 Big Ten championships. So it's kind of been a long time coming for this team. Their head coach, Matt Painter, is seen as one of the best head coaches in college basketball, but they finally got him here. But when I spoke with Zach Edey yesterday, he continues to say they're here, but they still have a job to do because they want to win that national title, and Purdue has never won it.
Very fascinating. Okay, I want to move on now, Claire, and switch gears, talk a little bit more about the NCAA women's final tomorrow. A little bit of a tongue twister. Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes will be returning for that. It seems to be, apart from the eclipse, the only thing people are really talking about right now. So how high are the stakes there?
Yeah, that's definitely probably the hottest basketball game in the country right now. Caitlin Clark, of course, just a generational basketball player. She has broken almost every record you can really think about in NCAA basketball. She became the highest scorer ever in women's or men's college basketball this year. Even this season, she set a single season scoring record. But it's going to be really hard for her and the Hawkeyes to win the national title because they are up against South Carolina. South Carolina, they last won the national championship in 2022, but last year they were expected to repeat. They were having a perfect season until the Gamecocks reached the Final Four, and that's when they lost to Iowa and Caitlin Clark. It was a huge upset. Caitlin Clark went on to the final, but then that's where they lost to LSU. I mean, we talked about that matchup in the Elite Eight. The Iowa Hawkeyes got over that hump, but now it's a rematch of last year's Final Four, and there's so much star power in this game. I mentioned Caitlin Clark, but then on the Gamecock side, there's Camila Cardoso. She's this Brazilian player, very tall, very physical. But then there's Caitlin Clark, who can basically nail threes from half court. So it's going to be such an exciting matchup, and just a huge moment for women's basketball as you're seeing the viewership go skyrocketing through the roof this tournament.
Yeah, no kidding. It's amazing to see. And I want to go back to where you are right now. It seems like there's a lot of people behind you. What's the atmosphere in the stadium like right now?
Yeah, Lindsay, there are a lot of people behind me. We're about an hour and a half away from tip-off. That first game is going to be, as I mentioned, Purdue versus NC State. And then after that, it's UConn, the defending national champions, taking on Alabama. And there's a lot of buzz around it, but I'm going to talk about yesterday. They actually had open practice. So fans got a chance to come in, watch their favorite players and teams, take to the court. This is an NFL stadium, and they usually do this in the Final Four for men's basketball, and they swap it to a basketball court. So it's really interesting, but so many fans had basketballs, posters for Zach Edey to sign, other star players, and I think this is just a big moment, for the women and the men, but it culminates this weekend, and there's only going to be one team left at the end that's going to be happy because there's only one team that finishes the season with a win.
Yeah, that's the way it works. Okay, we'll have to see how it all goes down. That is TSN's Claire Hanna reporting live from Phoenix for us. Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, Lindsay.